Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because right now you can see that we are still breaking out from this inverse head and shoulders pattern. And so far we have seen a breakout, retest, and now the start of a possible resumption from there. So as far as I'm concerned, so long as we are not getting 4-hour candle closes below the point of this breakout, or basically this descending trend line here, then Bitcoin is still just targeting this 103,000 US dollar level. Now, of course, keep in mind that if we do actually break down below, then yeah, all bets are off. Basically, we can cross off this price target and we can just forget completely about this trading pattern here. But until then, I just refuse to flip bearish, because that's not what the technical analysis is showing me. So yes, of course, it is possible that we break down to the downside. However, I do think this is the less likely outcome in this scenario. And the reason I say that is because taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map on this 1 week time frame, you can see that there's a lot of liquidity to the upside sitting right above the current price. Currently, we're trading at about 97K, roughly speaking, and there's a bunch of liquidity to the upside here. So I do think if we were to reach this 99K level, roughly speaking, this is going to be a very, very important time to pay attention to the Bitcoin chart, because we could end up just sweeping this liquidity and then reversing to the downside from there. So keep an eye on that. Apart from that, we can also take a look at some Fibonacci levels here for Bitcoin. So you can see that here earlier today, we actually perfectly bounced off of this Fibonacci golden pocket. So now, to me personally at least, this looks like break above, then retest, flip this into a level of support, and so far just a little bit of a bounce from there. And this is the most important level of support to hold, in my opinion, in the short term here. Again, if we were to break down below this and we invalidate that inverse head and shoulders, yes, then we can start talking about bigger moves to the downside. But until then, I think it is simply too early to really be bearish here. Now, taking a look at the 1 day time frame, you can see that we have a CME gap to the upside at about 98.4K. Typically, over 90% of CME gaps tend to get filled. Currently, we're trading right around this price, so it would not be surprising if we actually get a bit of a move to the upside to end up filling that CME gap at some point. Now, yes, there is still a CME gap at about 77K for the Bitcoin price, so this has been here for quite some time. However, just like on the lower time frames, I think it is simply too early to be extremely bearish right now. I'm already hearing people talking about that the bull market is over. But the thing is that, look, I take a look at these charts every day, and I'm telling you that it's not, you cannot know this right now if the bull market is over or not. So you have to give the charts some time to develop here. And at least for me personally, I'm keeping my long-term long positions open, and I'm still trading the lower time frames to take advantage of some of that volatility in the market. Now, as always, guys, I am not someone who is simply just always bullish or something. Of course, take a look at the charts objectively, and the one big glaring bearish signal that I'm seeing right now is this bearish divergence on the 1 day time frame. So you can see right here we have higher highs in the Bitcoin price and lower highs in the RSI momentum indicator, and this typically points towards a break from all of this bullish price action that we saw here recently, either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bearish momentum on that 1 day time frame. So notice how there's a bit of a difference between the different time frames. For example, that 4-hour time frame is looking all right. It's still looking pretty bullish, so long as we hold that critical level of support and we don't invalidate that bullish breakout pattern. But the 1 day time frame is looking a little bit more sketchy. Lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables, yesterday we actually saw a net inflow of about $320 million into the Bitcoin ETFs. We saw this last week as well. Here we had 2 red days, and then we saw a bunch of massive inflows following thereafter. So hopefully we see that same trend here in the upcoming week. And of course, so long as the Bitcoin ETFs keep buying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every single weekday, then this will continue to have an upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. So to summarize here, on the 4-hour time frame, this is still looking fine in my opinion, still looking pretty bullish. And that is, of course, unless we actually invalidate this bullish breakout. In that case, it would completely open the door to more bearish price action once again. And of course, that 1 day time frame is looking a little bit more bearish with that confirmed bearish divergence in the charts. However, for now, that is the only big warning signal that I'm seeing in the charts. And I always look for confluence, right? So for example, I want to see a big pocket of liquidity to the downside, somewhere close to the price. I want to see a bearish divergence or something develop not only on the 1 day time frame, but perhaps also the 1 week time frame or something like that. And then you will start to see me become more bearish. But until then, in my personal opinion, and this is of course not financial advice, but I think it is simply too early. Maybe you are seeing your favorite influencers say that Bitcoin has already started the biggest crash of your lifetime. Maybe they're saying that 100K was the top, like we're never going to go any higher. I'm saying that for now, as of the time of recording, I think it is unlikely that 100K is the top. But of course, that's just my personal opinion. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.